Hello, my name is Jim Keehner. I graduated from McClatchy High School in 1960, so I attended from 1957 to 1960. The reason I'm talking today is I wanted to talk about my track and field days and how I was so privileged to be able to carry the Olympic torch in 1960. And how it turned out to be one of the highlights of my life. In 1960 or 1957, I started at McClatchy High School, and I wanted to participate in track because my dad had participated in track when he was in high school, but he ran the dashes. He ran the 100 and 200 yard dash, and so I figured I would try that. So while I was in my sophomore year, I ran the 100-yard dash and the 220-yard dash, but found out that it was kind of slow because I couldn't start fast enough for that short of a race. So at the end of the season, our coach at that time, name was Scotty Bingham, asked if I wanted to participate in cross country in the fall, which were running 2 to 3 miles during a race. So we did that, and the first year we were there, we took the city championship, and that started us off on the long distance running. So in the track season came around, the coach put me in the half mile, the 880, and the mile. My final year, because our cross-country team was so good, we qualified for the state championship, which was held in Merced, California that year, and our team took 5th in the state. Our coach thought we even should have done better, but we were very pleased with that. 2 of the top team members of our cross-country team was a set of twins, Dennis and Dan Davison. And they were extremely good runners, very talented, and usually Dennis even was a little bit better than Dan, so usually Dennis would take first, Dan would take second, and then either a man named Jim Powers, or most of the time was John Didion, who would take, between he and I, we would take 3rd and 4th. There were others on the team too. Bill Lambert was one, but he usually was he was usually further back in the pack. During one year, I think it was my final year of track, I was competing in the 880 yards, and there was a boy from Sacramento High School who was a competitor to me, which I had to run against a number of times, and sometimes he would win, sometimes I would win. And this particular event was the sectional, so it was for one of the highest races, and he and I were competing in the same race again, and we went back and forth, passing each other during the race, and as we approached the last turn, he was ahead of me, and I was able to pull alongside of him in the stretch, and was able to pass him at the last couple of yards, and was able to stretch across the line before he did. And I never will forget that. As one of my trophies I have a picture frame that has a few of my medals and so forth that I won in it. Besides that, in those days, when you took the championship in track, they would give you a very miniature sterling silver track shoe. And I had at one time I had 5 of them, and at the time I was going in high school, I was going with another girl, and I gave her the track shoe to wear on a chain around her neck. And one day I saw that she wasn't wearing it, and I asked her about it, and she said she had lost it. And pretty much upset me that one of my prized possessions was lost. And so I decided at that point, she asked me for another one, and I said no. My wife now, Carolyn, still gives me a bad time when she says, you know, you gave your former girlfriend your track shoe to wear, and you wouldn't even give it to me to wear when I was dating her. But we jokingly say now that she's married to me now, and we've been married 60 years as of this coming month, and she says, now I've got all your track shoes and all your medals and all your books and everything else. So she ends up winning in the long run anyway.
I won you.
Yeah, he should as well.
She didn't get you.
Yeah, well, that's it. I have 4 memory albums, and this happens to be the first one. My first letter I ever received from McClatchy was this letter here. We took the championship team in 1957. There's my letter I wore on my A sweater with my track shoe on it. And then these are again pictures of running. That's the start of one of our half-mile races. That's me there. That's Dennis Davison. And this is the finish. Dennis Davison just beat me in the half mile, and I happened to run the time in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. We took first place. We had 31 points. This is the picture of the group that was able to go to the state meet, that we were able to do it. So there were the 5 of us that were competing in the state meet. And again, that's Dennis Davison, Dan Davison, John Didion, myself, and a boy named Bob Strail. So that was the team that finished 5th in the state. After our last season at high school at McClatchy, where we took the championship and took 5th place in the state, we found out that year that the Winter Olympics were going to be held at Squaw Valley in California. And not knowing was how they were selecting the people, the coach came to us and said the Olympic torch is going to be run through Sacramento, and McClatchy has been chosen to pick 7 runners to carry the torch. And he selected 7 of us, and of course I was one of the 7, and my brother also, who was a sophomore at the time, who also participated in cross country and track, was also selected. Luckily for me, my dad had an 8mm camera at the time, and he was able to take some very shaky but films of my brother and I carrying the torch. That's my brother Dave, who carried the torch earlier that day, and that's just a short picture of his shirt that we all got. This is the next day that we started to carry it, and that's me waiting for the torch, and it was about ready to get to me. It's handed to me, and you see that's where they have to change the torch. I was able to hold it while they had to change the flame, and then they light the flame, and I'm off and running for my mile. So again, even though those films are not very good, at least it is a memory that we can remember. And that's a bunch of us that carried the torch. That's our coach in the center there, Scotty Bingham, and that of course is my brother and I with our shirts. It really makes me feel with great memories, really, of being able to look at those pictures on that were taken so long ago, even though they're not very good quality. The memories and the visions that I have in my mind are so clear to me to this day. So again, they're priceless. I'm glad to be able to pass them on to all our family, and they can look at them years from now and try to remember what their own grandfather did in those days. Because of that achievement, many years later, McClatchy High School was looking over their first 25 years of existence, and they decided to pick a Hall of Fame teams from all those 25 years. And fortunately for us, our team, the championship team in 1960, actually was selected for the honor roll, and we were invited to a dinner, which 4 of the 7 runners of cross country that were able to attend, we attended. This is Dennis Davison, John Didion, Dan Davison, and myself. So there was 4 of the 7 were able to attend the dinner, and so we did have the top 4 runners there. This is the 3 of us. This is the twins with me. That's Dan Davison, Dennis Davison, and myself. Sadly, Dennis Davison passed away several years ago. Dan, his brother, we keep track of and talk to him quite a bit. I have not seen John Didion since the dinner, but it's just a wonderful team that we had. And again, I'm just so thankful I came around at that same time to be part of that experience. I have continued to run, even though I'm 81 years old. I have continued my running, or now closer probably to a jog and a walk. I would usually run 3 miles a day, and I continued that throughout up till about my heart attack about 11 years ago, when I was about 70 years old. But I still continue to walk and jog a little bit, 3 miles each day up to the present day. So track running is just definitely in my blood, and it gives me a feeling of wellness when I'm able to run, and it pleases me every day to be able to go out and do those exercises or do the running and be able to think back the memories and so forth I had when I was running track in the earlier days. As I think back through my life now of how I was so blessed with having that experience during high school and giving me something to look back on through not only my memories but through my memory books, and I just think that had to be one of the best things that ever happened to me besides being married for 60 years.